God of War 2018 was a game that brought us one of the most beloved series of characters, specifically Kratos and Atreus, their journey to Jotunheim, to the gracious fights of the Nine Realms' most prolific warriors. Most importantly though, the journey that made a father and son whole. As Kratos and Atreus show us the end of their story, they also show us the beginning of another, or more importantly, the beginning of the end, Ragnarok. The only thing remaining was for another title from Santa Monica Studios, but that would prove to be a painful wait. With the winters going by and no Ragnarok in sight, people of Earth in 2021 asked the question, when is God of War Ragnarok coming out? PlayStation answered on the 10th of September 2021 with the reveal trailer, and much like Ragnarok itself, Fimbulwinter came as well as a sign of the end, which for us the fans was the end to the wait. The world was getting cold, everyone was spontaneous, and some were preparing for the day Ragnarok came. As that day approached, the people of Earth started to prepare, taking the necessary days off work, making amends with family and friends in hopes to disperse them away on the day, and getting the consoles ready for the game. 9th of November was a proclaimed day, and so we waited until the day came. Hopes were high and expectations even higher. Could a title of such legend get any better than it already was? Ragnarok had the final answer to all our questions, and when that day came, they were all answered. Alright, let's settle the serious note down a bit and go over the wild ass journey that is God of War Ragnarok. Following from 2018's God of War Ragnarok drops us in the middle of Fimbulwinter, which is, as mentioned, the thing before the big bad world ender thing. Kratos is in a cave, sharpening an arrow, and once you decide to finally click that X button, Atreus comes in and your long journey begins. And I mean, it's a very long journey with about 20 plus hours of the main story taking up your time in this experience entirely. About 35 plus more hours if you are lucky enough to 100% the story in 3 sittings, which is definitely not what I did.
Are you serious right now, bro?
From beginning to end, the journey you endure is faced with both physical challenges such as this fat fuck Thor, and the more personal challenges and battles which our main characters face, as well as the side characters who join in the fun. Each destination and each mission helps us over a known hurdle, but also creates another in its place. You help Theo out of imprisonment and grant him a home to help you in. Cool, now he creates mischief unwillingly and creates conflict between the protagonists. And
I'm talking to you! You never shut up! What the fuck?
Alright, enough spoilers. Where was I? Oh yeah, you find Ironwood and meet this chick called Ankle Bone Nuts or something along those lines.
I'm Angrboda.
Are you sure about that?
Cool, you now have to play the most boring section of the game so she could tell you by the end that you can't defy your fate and you must just stick with it like the little bitch you are. As shitty as that mission is, they fit a Lion King set piece, which at least that's what I felt like it was, but in no fucking way is it redeeming, so don't count on it. And just to relieve you, in my opinion, that is the only mediocre section in the game, so don't worry, the game is still redeemable for that legendary rating, but let's talk how it is. The story is fucking astonishing. As much as I would like to joke on how certain things are either too cliche or too cringy, this story will bring you to tears by the end of Kratos and Atreus' journey. No doubt about that. The lessons you learn, the places you find, and the people you meet are all extraordinary in their own unique and ugly ways. Each realm returns with the addition of Svartalfheim, Vanaheim, Jotunheim, even fucking Asgard. The other realms which were previously available have either had a glow up or glow down, depending on which one specifically we talk about, or how your actions from 2018 haunt your footsteps in Ragnarok. Your interaction with these realms has in one way or another had a negative change to it, whether that by Kratos and Atreus' intention or just by pure coincidence. Take Alfheim as an example. You beat the living crap out of the Dark Elves leader, and in consequence you help the Light Elves in the war, which personally I prefer to verse the Dark Elves, but well done you two, my luck is many. But that's the beauty in it. Whether the player wanted to help Boulder in 2018 or not, the people with the ultimate choice are these two, and in a time of chaos and destruction, they must choose what's right after what they've done to the world around them, even if it was to haunt them for the winters coming ahead. It's a great way of pushing these characters to make their own decisions more carefully in this game, where the stakes are higher. It effectively raises tension and adds weight into every choice we make. Moving on, we are also fed this lie that this prophecy defined us and that fate cannot be changed. Kontos sits on the side of the fence that says no, it won't. We'll shape our own future. We'll make our own decisions. Atreus is scared of the fate set upon him, and although he may agree with Kontos, he's afraid of whether he can do it, but the most difficult task at hand, how will he do it? These opinions clash, and the family environment within Sindri's home between realms only brings the discussion to an argument. Atreus storms off multiple times in hopes he can find his answers, but the lesson is that you cannot do this alone. Not when you have all these allies alongside you, not when you have a god by your side, and especially not when your father only wishes to not mourn for a mistake that may lead to your death. That's why we and they must learn to be better. Watching theories online only made my hope of Faye returning a dream. The time we see Faye is when Kontos is scared, vulnerable and worried. The constant reminder that she is with us, even when she's in reality gone, is what drives Kontos for answers and what fuels him to be better. They're saying, we will be the gods that we choose to be. We must be better. At the time, that made sense, but it was odd. Where did Kontos have the courage and heart to say such a line right before killing Boulder and ending the cycle of destruction? Every lesson that is learnt in God of War Ragnarok is fueled by the love that both Faye and Kontos shared at the time before Atreus, and her words were only encouragement and a reminder to be better. To not abide by what is said, even if it's wrong. To not let the innocent die because of a war they had no choice to fight in. Similarly to Boulder, Kontos shared the same words to Thor, but not by the mere seconds that it would take to kill him right after saying it. The battle was done. He could have killed him, but he chose to be better. Not for himself, but for his child. Their children.
For the sake of our children, we must be better.
And it's a shame right after this bold prat just decided that it was going to overtime and that the battle was meant to be over. From the side missions across the realms to how he treats his closest allies, it is no doubt that be better theme was well harnessed within Kontos when he interacted with all beings around, as he didn't want his actions of the past to dictate who he was. Even his lessons from the 2018 game are seen to be learnt here, and where his careful trace in this game often manifests through thoughtful and truly selfless intentions in his acts of fatherhood. A far cry from his slightly more insecure and careless treatment of Atreus in the 2018 game, where he was forced to confront his own problems first before going father mode. He opens up in this game, sharing his past freely, having confronted it in the last game.
You feel their pain because that is who you are. And you must never sacrifice that. Never. Not for anyone.
It allows for him to accomplish things we never thought of him capable of doing before. Overall, he truly becomes the ultimate dad in this game. He is wiser, stronger, and most importantly, better. Remember when I said let's tone down the series bit? Well, now I mean it, because we are going to the much funner bit of this game, the gameplay. Now, as the title suggested, the gameplay was improved from God of War 2018, and look, I didn't have much of an issue with it. I fucking love cutting these bozos in half like the slices of cheese that go on a cheeseburger, but I've heard the fair amount of criticism that could be valid to these very few people's arguments. We'll go with the combat first and the rest later. The first wins which I heard was that the combat was assisted and Kontos would randomly attach to the enemies, even if it didn't make sense for him to magnetize to our best friend Bob here. Problem fixed. Not enough variety in combat situations? Fixed. You got both environmental items in helping you take out our best friends, but also the verticality of our tools and how they can be used tactically. Not enough variety in the tools that we do have? Again, fixed. A new weapon in the Dropney Spear, which has its users and allows for a much more range-focused playstyle when needed. The skill tree returns and is refined with the unlocks providing a perk system which when you have used said attack, 30 times as an example, you can pick one of 3 perks to enhance that move for a better build up in your weapon's runic ability, or if it stuns them more, or whatever else is their choice. This made again a more varied playstyle, which allows this casual Gary to camp like a little bitch at the back and actually not be punished for it. There are honestly way too many changes to put here. New shields, new relics, a better RPG system, which I hoped it wouldn't return, but actually made me invested because it wasn't overly complicated for the sake of complication. New users for the Spartan Rage, new allies like Freya or Ingrid, an amulet which allows you to pick enchantments for Kratos. You even get to play as the little shit Atreus, which may not be as good as Kratos' gameplay segments, but are certainly not undermined or undeveloped. And last, and definitely not fucking least, the boss fights. Everyone can agree when I say that this game made you fight for these wins, and it isn't anything as outrageous as Elden Ring, but the pure satisfaction of draining these fuckers' health to then give them their appointed chiropractor therapy was all that satisfying. All of these changes made what was a decent or pretty good combat in my opinion, to a, yeah, that's great, Elden Ring is still better, and for me, a legendary combat system that rivals even its own hack and slash brothers. In short, if you hated it before, you'll love it now. What about the world and exploration available to the player? First, too many side missions. You go around a corner and pick up something and it's a new side mission. It's literally as common as my dad randomly calling me to tell me I'm too loud in my room and that I have no ears, but there's nothing I can do about any of these. The collectibles are so seamlessly brought into this world we roam, and compared to 2018 it is far better, and I say that because I've 100%ed both. It isn't out of ease that I say that, because both are time consuming if you're going for that 100%, but the sense of these items being where they are and when was an experience that wasn't as noticeable in Boy Simulator 2018. Oh, and the uses of these collectibles are far better, especially those goddamn ravens. And a note worth noting, the environment. This world projected through my beautiful and rare to most PS5 with the monitor, which I won't disclose how much I paid for just for the enjoyment of seeing this game at its highest fidelity and fastest speed, makes these worlds that you go through not only shocking to the eyes but impressive beyond measure. The colours of a bright day in Vanaheim, the high details Thor's big ass belly and the emotion projected from Kratos' face makes this experience that much more enhanced for the player, which ultimately immerses the storytelling and motion captured within this game. God of War Ragnarok brought us an experience at the deadest of times in the year of gaming, and the overwhelming task that it had to being a worthy successor to God of War 2018, but also a finale to the story that Kratos and Atreus embark on was beyond what one could count. All jokes aside, this game brings these characters to life and shows us their mistakes, their inner demons, and the successes in confronting their fate straight in their face. The gameplay enriches the storytelling, immersing you to experience what it's like to be the God of War, to be Loki, to be a father, and to be a son. The world we explore and the people within them make the journey an interesting one, even if a dumb fuck Heimdall may see what our true intentions are. Seeing as this is the biggest title of the year, and really my only chance to debut this series. Alright, so... Okay, hold on. Okay, we're scrapping that real quick.
You're right.
So we're doing this series called The War ... Everything that we do on this channel, it reviews the ribbon replays, and even some games that just revolutionized the gaming scene. So we've got the 3 sods that have been mentioned. Myself, who obviously recorded half this video. We've got Jonathan, who's done any other video, like the shitty Gran Turismo videos, some of the World at War zombie videos. And
the feeling of betrayal in my heart.
And we have Mr. Ryan, who's never been heard in this channel ever because he's just the behind the scenes guy, but you might know him if you've ever watched the intro. So
he's one of our private shareholders.
I get paid a lot Breaking Bad English.
We've got some games here, some of the games that we reviewed, and some of the games done ribbon replays, and some which had to be mentioned. It just feels like they're important overall.
Yeah.
Each of us will get 2 choices, right? Since there's 6 games, it just makes sense. And stop flipping it, lad. Stop flipping it. we have to pick a category to put these in. Doesn't have to be every single category covered, but at least the category that fits the game, and we can dispute each other whenever we put the games in. I think it's only right that I begin. We'll start with Ultimate Spider-Man. I think it's gourmet shit. You guys are welcome to butt in.
No.
No?
I'll say that right.
No.
What do you mean no?
5 minutes later.
That's fair. Actually, yeah, I changed my mind. We'll put it in between. It's not really that good.
This wall is fluid, so... Well, I mean, I'm going to pick the game that's not only my favourite on this list, but my favourite series.
Oh, of course. Nah, of course we'd put it here.
We probably didn't have the next 5 to 10 years of great racing games if this game didn't exist. Mind you, 20 years later is a shit show.
Oh, goddamn.
Oh, speaking of shit show.
Arrange, order, center back. There you go. Sort of behind.
Oh.
Well, you see, we can do this. And if you haven't realized, by the way, this is a rip-off of the cool from Top Gear.
But
right?
modernized the gaming scene.
Yeah, you see, as you can see, we've evolved as humans. Since Clarkson, May, and Hammond.
Ryan, you're next. Pick any of the games on board, except Ragnarok.
So let's just be completely honest. I actually haven't played any of these games up here. So I'd like to bring a contender from an external source. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the best game in, I don't know, primary school history. Happy Wheels.
Yeah, okay, we saw this coming.
Oh, dear. I don't want to be the fucking buzzkill here, but I honestly think it's mid.
I'm going to chuck it here. I think that's fair.
Speaking of mid, does anyone want to introduce, actually, the first mid game? Anyone?
Since Ryan just went, I'll go next. I think B-Movie sits up there, let's be honest.
One eternity later.
You see this? Upside down, first of all, right? And we're putting it over here, all the way far left.
1 million, zillion, jillion, dillion, cotillion times later.
This is the definitive list that we've got right now for all these games. Things will change whenever we make another video and whenever another retrospective comes around. But for now, this is what we've got. If Mr. Ryan Suhardjo decided to not plague the whole fucking screen, there you go, B-Movie's gone. Look, look, this is it. It just depends on how things go.
Just cut the video. Cut to outro.